All right, so we just gonna hope this works. All right, what's going on there? Oh, see, I already messed up. What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you are new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content. So if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're talking about a lot of stuff, and by we, I mean I have my guy here, Tyler. Tyler, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Tyler. I'm a 16-year-old Hornets fan from North Carolina. Last 7 years have been pretty painful.
Hey, look, because I remember when I was 16, because I'm 26 now, so that was 10 years ago for me. So when I was 16, I was so frustrated with this team. All my friends, because when you're in high school, no one wants to stick with their wherever they're from team. So everyone's Lakers fans, Heat fans, Celtics fans. So I'm just sitting there I literally had the worst team, and so I couldn't even talk to anyone because as soon as I would interject my NBA opinion, they're like, "Shut up, your team's the Hornets." And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you right. I ain't gonna let you talk to me like that, but you're right. So yeah, but man, I'm glad to have you here. I plan to do this more often. I had to get Tyler on first before I got anybody on, because as soon as I said I was going to do a podcast, he was like, "Hey, I want to be on there." So we had to go ahead and do it. But like I said, we have this exciting.
Some guys start a podcast for a while, so just coming on here for an episode, I thought it could be pretty fun. So.
Hey man, we'll probably do many more. I've tried stuff in the past until this YouTube channel, and I was doing stuff with other people. So I would suggest if you ever can find anyone and you want to do and you really want to do it, I say just do it. That's one thing I wish I could have done is I started earlier. I was too busy trying to be like, oh, I need one more person, and then I'm gonna just do it. So yeah, that would be my interjection on that. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk some Hornets. So we have an agenda. This is the first time, unless I really need to know stats or something, that I wrote stuff out. Normally I just come off the top of the dome because y'all seem to like that. But I actually wanted to plan some stuff out so we can have some good conversation. So the first question we have is, how do you feel about Steve Clifford this season, and will he be the coach next season? I'll let our guest Tyler go ahead and give his answer on that.
So this year, I wouldn't say I've been thrilled with Steve Clifford. I think he's been okay. I think we are we've had a better season than I thought we would, given the Miles Bridges situation and all the injuries we've gone through. And I wouldn't say he's necessarily one of the worst coaches in the league. I just feel like he's maybe more suited to be an assistant at this point in his career. Just a defensive specialist type of guy.
I agree with that, because one thing I brought up when there was rumors talking about, and this was right before they decided to rehire Steve Clifford. There was rumors a day or two before that was Steve Clifford is coming back. Well, not coming back, but they were saying they're hearing talks of Steve Clifford coming back. And I mean, I don't quite remember, but I feel like no one thought as a coach, as the head coach. And that was the thing I thought. I thought it was going to be a Mike D'Antoni led staff with Steve Clifford as the defensive-minded coach. I agree with you on that, because I agree with a lot of things you said there, actually, because the season is better than what you would have thought. I definitely thought we would look like the Spurs, Pistons, Rockets. Well, actually, I wouldn't throw the Rockets in there. I just thought we wouldn't be good. The Rockets have more than just basketball.
They're a special breed, man.
Man, they don't care. They don't care at all.
They don't.
And I mean, hey, look, they might get rewarded for it. They might not. But yeah, I didn't think we would be that bad. But I didn't think we would be this good. Even though our record doesn't show, we've been in a lot of games despite the changing, despite the injuries and all that. And I think Steve Clifford has a big part in that. But like you said, it's just, I feel like a lot of his methods are older. You can tell by even his offense it just looks old, and it's not free flowing. And you have a lot of free flowing guys. That's what doesn't make sense. If you had a team that was more structured, then it would make sense. But literally everyone on this roster, I mean,
they're just more bucket getters. Free flowing. Yeah.
Right, and they're not these sets that he'd be running. So with that being said, do you think he'll be the coach next year, or do you think that the Hornets will get someone else. Now, the rough part about this is you have to think about the possibility of the team being sold. And then, I mean, that's really it, and just go from there. So,
yeah. Given that Michael Jordan will be here next year, I think he'll be the head coach. If Michael Jordan's not here, I don't think he will be. Simple as that.
I agree with that.
I think they're just probably going to want to hit a hard reset if it is a new owner. And I think Jordan's the type of guy to like give him another year because like Miles Bridges situation and injuries and all that. So.
Yeah, I can see that just because I think another thing is with Michael Jordan specifically, and it's hard saying these things because I can only base it off how he runs his team. I don't know the guy personally, but it just seems that he refuses to admit when he's wrong. So like if something's not quite going the way you want it to, I feel like that's another reason this team hasn't been broken up is because he's so concerned with I put this roster together, it needs to work. So I'm gonna run it back until it works. And that's something that I feel like definitely needs to change. So if Michael Jordan's here, I can see Steve Clifford being here another year. I mean, he is, like we said, he's not that bad. It's just I would just much rather see.
I'd rather have a younger guy, you know.
Right, with these players, it's just it would just make more sense. The team's only going to get younger. If they get any older, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that you do need a younger coach in there, and it doesn't have to be some guy who's is it an OKC coach that's like 35 or something like that? It doesn't need to be that young.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be 60 something either.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun to go get out like a first time head coach.
I think so too. I think it would be fun, but I could see
that also falling apart. Yeah.
Right. And I think especially with if we have new owners, I don't know. I think it's going to be like I don't know. I think they're just going to be very careful because they know that this city, the team has just been starving to be good. And so, I mean, I think they're really going to try to get someone who maybe knows their way around, especially considering from what I know, the two people who are leading the charge to buy it, they're not really basketball people. So I think that, the smart thing to do is since you're not basketball people, get the most experienced staff and experienced front office.
Research,
I mean,
yeah.
Right. Similar to like, do you watch like football at all? Like keeping up with the Panthers or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with the Panthers this offseason because I've seen they got a bunch of guys in free agency. So
right, and yeah, I mean that's kind of like the approach that if new owners, I think they should take is the Panthers. They went and got the most experienced staff they could find to help whoever their quarterback may be. So in this case,
they got
LaMelo's your quarterback.
Too.
They do that staff is ridiculously good, and just like I said, just so many veterans, like just so much like in a quarterback room, especially like the head coach, and then you got Josh McCown and all of them. So many people who can help.
I love them getting Jim Caldwell too. He's been
that was another good
for a while.
Right. So I definitely feel like the Hornets, if new owners, that's the approach they should take. I think, like you said, they'll probably clean house. We see it all the time. But yeah, I mean, actually interested to see what happens. I mean, it seems like Michael Jordan's kind of like slow poking around with selling the team, and I think he's just waiting to see about the lottery odds,
draft lottery, because that can bring up the value a lot. Yeah,
you get Wembanyama or Scoot specifically. I think that would definitely boost. I mean, I think anybody's going to boost I think that's just how it works. Anybody will boost it, but them two specifically.
Yeah, for sure.
So. I don't think Clifford will be here if we sell the team. But
do you have a short list of coaches that you'd like to see, or because I brought a few.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. So what's your short list, and I'll give you mine. And also my next question would be: are any of them coaches of a current team? Like, do you think someone's going to get fired, and then the Hornets can pick them up, or do you think are these just like assistant coaches?
I haven't even thought about coaches like that, but my top three that like instantly come to mind are Nate Oates, of Alabama, Mike D'Antoni. I think is he in Phoenix right now? Is he? I know he's like an assistant
I think he's
somewhere.
like an advisor or something.
Yeah. And then there's this. I don't know too much about this guy. I went on like the official page for like NBA assistants and coaches. And apparently he has like a ton of experience with winning teams. Name's Popeye Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's too old. He used to play, so he's 52.
That's not too bad. I mean, and especially like age. I mean, really, age is really just a number. I think the thing is Steve Clifford acts old, as opposed to if you get a guy in there that's energetic, it doesn't really matter how old he actually is.
Yeah.
I think those are some good ones. Especially Mike D'Antoni. He was also on mine. So I had Mike D'Antoni.
And he interviewed with the Hornets last year.
Oh, he did? The Popeye Jones guy?
No, Mike D'Antoni.
Oh, Mike D'Antoni. Yeah. And he was close. I think it came down to money. I mean, it had to be. Because not Steve Clifford, but there's no way you have Mike D'Antoni, I'm assuming, as a finalist, and you pick Steve Clifford over him. I think they had to pick Steve Clifford over him, as opposed to that was their choice.
Yeah.
Mike D'Antoni probably either wanted more like control, or he wanted more money and a probably a better staff. Because we know that's what they said about Kenny Atkinson. Is one thing is they were not willing to give him a better staff with Kenny Atkinson. So
I'm glad we didn't hire him, though. That's not even after what he did to us. I just didn't want him.
It's how we didn't hire him I don't like, but yeah, I wasn't too bummed out that we didn't get him, just because I honestly am surprised he accepted it in the first place, because of the fact that I just would assume after Mike Brown left as an assistant coach with the Warriors, the Kenny Atkinson taking over the Warriors just seems like it's going to happen when Steve Kerr finally decides he doesn't want to coach anymore. So I'm actually surprised that he even entertained the idea of coming to the Hornets.
Yeah. So Popeye Jones, I was talking about, he was assistant coach with the Pacers from 2013 to 2020. Then for a year, he was assistant coach under Doc Rivers with the Sixers. And now he's the assistant coach under Mike Malone. So a lot of experience with winning teams. I kind of like it.
Yeah, for sure, especially with that. You say Pacers, and then the Sixers, and then now, who was
Nuggets
it now?
For 2 years
Nuggets.
Now.
Yeah, so that's really good, because the way the Nuggets have been playing. I mean, they've shown that they really just needed their starters, because they didn't have them for the most part these last couple of years. So I think that's a good recipe. I think that's someone interesting to bring in. I also like the Nate Oates thing. Thinking about bringing guys from college.
I love his offense.
And I mean, right, exactly. And then I mean, when you think about it, the SEC for college basketball is really good this year, and his team was one of the best teams in the country playing in that conference. So I think that shows that he could produce winning ball. He obviously knows how to relate to younger players.
Yeah.
That's something that's something that could really happen if we get Brandon Miller.
Especially if we got Brandon Miller, yeah.
I think that there's no way they could ignore it if we got Brandon Miller. It might be too obvious, but we'll see.
And his offense just fits LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges just to a T.
I think so too. I think that the way they play, I think, will help. And then you have got, like, he was even trying to get who was it, Noah Clowney to shoot.
Yeah.
No, he didn't shoot that well, but he was getting him to shoot. And so getting Mark Williams, who we know shows signs. I wouldn't say he's a shooter or even semi of a shooter, but he shows signs. Right. That the game could be there for him if he ever were to venture out to shooting the three. So with Nate Oates, I mean, you have no doubt for sure that would happen. I'm trying to think about who did I. So, like I said, I had Mike D'Antoni. I saw something today that said Ime Udoka. Raptors are thinking about getting Ime Udoka. I personally, with Ime Udoka, it's not even about what he did. I'm just not I don't see why he would be on the Hornets. And that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I don't see why he would consider the Hornet. Now, if he comes here, I mean, that's perfectly okay. I don't have a problem. I mean, he obviously got to the Boston Celtics easily. Like as soon as he became coach, it seemed like they were attached to him. So, I mean, he's obviously a good coach, a good person, obviously to have in the locker room. But I just don't see why. So I'm not even going to have him on the list. But with that being said, if the Raptors are looking at him, that must mean Nick Nurse is going somewhere. And I
Yeah.
personally wouldn't mind having Nick Nurse on the team. I mean, he's winning right now. I wouldn't. That team's good, obviously, but it's not a complete team by any
They're
means.
missing a star player. I know what you mean. They haven't been the same since they
Yeah,
lost Kawhi. It's like not even close.
right. And my thing is, and you could look at it as he may be a gap coach. And the reason I say that is because even without Kawhi, they haven't been contenders, but they've always been in there. And you don't really want to play them, even though you could beat them. It's just like, why? Every time you play them, it's not going to be an easy series. I mean, even the 70s, they played the 76ers last year in the playoffs. It wasn't an easy
Yeah.
series for the Philly, and they thought it was going to be. So being a Hornets fan, and as we made it 2 times in the last 13 years or something like that. If he could just get us there and be competent in the first round, where okay, we may get out the first round the first 2 years. I'm not expecting like a championship run anytime soon. So let's just make it to the playoffs and fight hard first. But if he can give me 2-3 years in a row of us making to the playoffs and just barely, like game 7 losses or something, I'm okay with that. It's much more than we've had in the past, especially if he can guarantee it back-to-back years. Because even when last year, 2 years ago, when we made the play-in and lost to the Pacers, it was like, oh, I hope we can do this next year. We hope Miles Bridges is going to play the way he did that year. And then he ended up doing that. But then they fizzled out again. And so then you're like hoping they can do it again. And then obviously the Miles Bridges situation where he's not even on the team anymore. But I just want some consistency, a good, balance. So if he can provide that for a couple of years, I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah, I think I like Nick Nurse as a coach. The thing to me is that like the Raptors just feels like Masai Ujiri's team,
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I think Nick Nurse is like a madman in the sense that he tries so much stuff and it got him a championship, and that was a beautiful playoff run. I just don't feel like he's I don't feel like he's a man in power for the Raptors,
Mm-hmm. And I mean, since you say that, it would make sense why they could be looking at Ime Udoka, because you would think Nick Nurse hasn't done anything wrong to get fired. So maybe it could be like, hey, maybe your message, like maybe as Uzai Mashiri is talking to Nick Nurse and saying, hey, your message is not getting to the players. We need a little more. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the Hornets do. My best bet is that they're going to keep Steve Clifford and just go from there. Because I could see we don't want to give these guys 3 coaches in 3 years approach as well.
Yeah, don't love that.
Right. I don't love it either. So it's like it's a really tough decision, because it's like you either have 3 coaches in 3 years, which if we got a new owner and they hire a new coach, I can assume that, because at least Steve Clifford and James Borrego somewhat have the same. They don't have the same scheme, but they have the same approach to the game. Kind of like, they're like everybody's trying to be on the Spurs, or they're trying to treat it like it's the old Spurs. So I'm assuming whatever coach we get, if it's not Steve Clifford, they're going to be drastically different. So that's something you got to think about. So at least Borrego and Clifford kind of have the same mentality. This new guy might be completely different, and then he's your 3rd coach in 3 years. So it's you're picking slim pickings, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope they get it right.
Yeah, that's all you can really hope for.
And hope is a strong word too. So
yeah.
All right. So now, and speaking of Steve Clifford, it works out, because our next topic is this version of the Hornets defense sustainable? And obviously, we're not talking about next 6-7 games, but going into next year, if he is our coach, do you see this defense being top? It's 10 now since All-Star break. So we'll go we'll just knock it
Hasn't it been
down to
the
top
number
15.
one team by defensive rating since the All-Star break?
I'm pretty sure. I think it is. Let me double check.
Which is
But yeah,
just
what do you
insane,
think?
but yeah. I don't really have much to say about it. It's cool, but I don't think it's sustainable at all. I just don't think we have the personnel for it. Yeah.
I can see it. No, I get it. I get it. It's not much to it. I think a lot of this is just fresh height, and this is where it gets interesting. I think the way they're playing is a lot of it has to do. It's just fresh ideas that the team is doing. It's something they should have done a long time ago. Let these young guys play because you're not going to be. You know what I mean? You weren't going to make it to the playoffs. I could have told you that at the beginning of the season.
The thing is, I don't think Michael Jordan actually knew that. I'm convinced.
I'm convinced too, because and what's crazy is that, I mean, really, even after All-Star break, if the team was good, let's say that LaMelo missed this whole time and he was coming back, they really could have made a push to not to the play-in. They would literally be 10th. But after All-Star break, let's say LaMelo came back. Because he got injured after, but let's just say he came back. He was missing the whole season, came back. They still, game-wise, could have caught up, especially if they were playing like the way they're playing now. So it really took it shouldn't have took that long for them to realize, hey, this team just isn't it. And then on top of that, even if you were going to make the play-in, it was not going to be pretty. So is it really worth it, missing out on a pick? Now, this draft is
not this year.
Yeah, not this year. This was the worst year to do it. Next year, maybe, because next year's draft, from what I've seen, is just, and I haven't done my deep dives, but it's not as good as this one. But I mean, some people have their vices with this one. Some people don't really like this.
This is one of the best draft classes I've seen while I've been watching basketball. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think so too. I think everyone's really talented. I think you have a good mixture of guys who having like an all around game, but then you have a lot of specialists too. Because I know in the NBA it's becoming either you affect it. There's like three types of players. Well, I mean, really two. You have the guys who impact the game in multiple ways, and then you have specialists. And I think that's all you need. Like, you need maybe one or two guys that can affect the game overall, and then if you put a bunch of specialists around, I mean, that could be the recipe. I mean, you look at the Bucks.
That is the recipe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that in this draft class, you literally have two. I'll give Brandon Miller maybe a chance to be a guy that can develop and do multiple things. But as of right now,
really, you don't think he can?
I think he. What? Do you think he can affect the game multiple ways?
So what do you mean by that? Not just like he's a star player, or like.
Yeah, can he be a star player on an NBA
for
team?
Sure. I think he can be.
Really? Okay, we'll get into that because we'll talk about the draft next.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I mean, I have faith in him. I want him to. I do want to see more, but as far as the defense with this team, I just don't see it being sustainable. I think that, like I said, I think it's just the fresh ideas is what led to this team just kind of playing. You can tell that like Kelly and them, they're excited to see guys like Kai Jones get minutes, Bryce McGowan's get minutes, JT Thor playing 40 minutes. Like they're hyped to see these guys play. And which makes me even more concerned. Why didn't they do that in the first? Because I could also see like, hey, you just paid Terry Rozier. Gordon Hayward is kind of iffy. He is I get like the guy who's paid the most on a team. He always has to be a leader to me. But Gordon Hayward, he doesn't seem he's that way. But like I've always said in my videos, that could be a behind the scenes thing. Because I mean, if that's just who he is, then that's just who he is. But I've never seen it.
I've never seen like any clips of Gordon Hayward being like our leader. To me, he's kind of just like that Kawhi Leonard type of guy.
Right. And then it's funny that you bring that up because with both of them, I feel like they lead by example. But when you don't play, it's hard to lead by example. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of it. But I mean, I agree, though. I do think they both definitely are probably like oh yeah, do what I do, and you'll be where you need to be. And they're not wrong. Gordon Hayward's a good player. It's just he cannot stay on the floor. But yeah, I think that it just doesn't make sense because the young guys are playing, everyone's happy. Like all the veterans are like, yeah, let's get the young guys out there. And then it's just like, why didn't you do that at the beginning? Because, like I said, Terry Rozier, I think this is the first year his deal kicked in. Like I said, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, who's about to get paid, Kelly Oubre, who's about to get a new contract. I could see why you would play them over the younger guys because it's like, all right, well, these guys we have to make happy. You don't want to disgruntle Terry Rozier when he has 3 years left on his deal or 4 years, whatever the case may be. You don't want to disgruntle Kelly Oubre if you're thinking of bringing him back because then he could just leave because he, has no restrictions or anything. PJ, he's restricted free agent, but still, you don't want to make him upset. So I could see if they were concerned with those guys, but considering how it's going, I don't think that would have been a problem. So it just doesn't make sense why they didn't do this forever ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's sustainable, and I think it's simply just a personnel thing. Like, you look at our roster, and in my eyes, we have like 4 good defenders. The rest, and then we have a lot of average defenders, and we have a few that are like, what are you even on the floor for?
Wait, I want to know what are you on the floor for people?
Nick Richards, Kai Jones.
I agree with both of them. I always said they're stat defenders.
Yeah, they're not good defenders.
You'll look and be like, oh my God, they got 3 blocks, 2 steals.
Yeah.
And then you watch the 3 blocks and 2 steals. Like, dude, he just stood there.
and
luckily got the block. Like, he didn't do anything. He was just there. He just got lucky. Marcus Smart just tried to run straight into him instead of like that's literally how he gets his. And I mean, everybody has their own thing for sure, but it's just like, yeah, with Nick Richards, he's just not. I think he's still a little soft when it comes to defense. I think
on defense, that offense,
and it's crazy because
right.
Like, yeah, exactly. Because on offense, you see the hard screens. He's big bodied in the post. And on defense, I think he just lets people pushing him around. I don't know if he's trying to avoid the foul, but it's like, dude, you're the second string center now. I don't care how many fouls you get.
I think the problem with him is just like he goes up, but he gets the timing wrong like every time.
Yeah, that happened. Well, that was on a rebound, but that happened in the OKC game. There was luckily, obviously we pulled that game out, but there was a part where he would have had the offensive rebound. He completely mistimed it. So I don't know about I don't know if that's a timing in general thing or what.
Yeah, I remember what play you're talking about because I was watching it happen and I got so mad that he didn't get the rebound.
Yeah, because it was literally like a minute or 2 left, and it was right there.
Like
there was no one that could take it away from him.
Yeah,
right. He just mistimed it, and I think like Jalen Williams or somebody got it. So
yeah. But
now we can spin the block back to Brandon Miller because I'm glad you mentioned that. Because with the next question we have here is, if the Hornets stay put at 4 in the draft, who should they get? This is just our spot to talk draft. So I don't know how much you're into the draft. I don't know if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I just pay attention to top 10. Do you look at everybody? I'm a big draft person. Obviously being a Hornets fan, you have to learn the draft pretty well. So I've always been a big draft person.
Yeah. I like to read scouting reports. I don't necessarily love to scout players myself just because I don't really have the time for it. There is one guy that I've scouted like a lot in this draft, but that's not really me scouting him. That's me being an NC State fan.
So I'm assuming it's Turk.
Yeah.
Turk, I like Turk.
Guy. Yeah, he's nice.
So then I need to have you on with 2 pointers because he's an NC State fan. Turk is his guy too.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a casual college basketball guy, so
I get it.
Yeah.
So who would you? Okay, so then if that's the case, is there anyone that you read about or that sticks out to you that, hey, I wouldn't be mad if the Hornets take them at 4? And so obviously at 4, we can assume that Wemby's gone, of course, Scoot,
Be gone. Scoot's
and
gonna be gone.
yeah, and then Brandon Miller's gone as well, which we can talk about. Because I mean, there is a chance he could fall to 4 because
There's a
we
chance.
see time and time again these teams really take that tournament so serious. So he had a bad tournament, and so sometimes teams are willing to wipe out the other 32 games. But
Yeah. Honestly, I'm more of a Amen Thompson guy than Brandon Miller guy, so I'd be perfectly happy if we could get him at 4. I think the fit with LaMelo is pretty underrated too. LaMelo's like super good catch and shoot 3-point shooter, and Amen, he's better with the ball in his hands. Like he can cut a little bit, but he lacks a jump shot, so he's just one of those guys that you'd rather see the ball in his hands.
I agree. I think, and I also like how he's able to put pressure on the rim, which is something that
we have not had that all year.
Need. We desperately need. Terry kind of he's just small. Like I say that a lot about Terry, and some people think I'd like defending him or whatever, but specifically when he attacks the rim, he's actually not bad. It's just he's so small at 6'2", 6'3". And so most time he gets blocked or whatever the case may be, or too many bodies are down there. But Amen Thompson, I think that would be a way better, chance to have someone that can really attack the basket. He doesn't need much space. He's quick. He's strong himself. So even if it is, a little physical in the paint, he's going to finish.
Yeah, he's just one of those big, strong, fast guys. He's built like an NFL tight end, but not that big, obviously. And I'd love the rim pressure. And also, if you're big, strong, fast like that, there's no reason you can't become an elite defender. So I would love that. I think I can't really make comparisons, because I haven't scouted them myself. But from everything I've read about Amen, he's kind of, to me, he just sounds like a taller Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I could see that. Which, hey, I mean, that's not a bad thing to have for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think as long as you can just, try and keep the ball in his hands, it's not, in anybody's hands, it's not necessarily like a bad thing to have one or two guys on the floor that can't shoot.
I know people. Yeah, people bring that up a lot.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me about that is similar to what you said. You don't need everyone to shoot into. This team is full of people who can shoot.
Yep.
So it's just like they're not shooters, and that's something that I say that his team desperately needs as well. Is like someone like V. I mean, I know some people don't like him. I actually like him. I don't want him to be like our sixth man.
Yeah. I think he's pretty hated on. I don't really know why he puts up decent numbers. He just gets a lot of minutes, so.
Yeah, and I can see being irritated with the amount of minutes he's get, but I mean he plays back. I mean he has a high IQ, and when he's not scoring, he can do some other stuff as well. So I'm not mad at it. It's better than having Cody Martin at the end of the day, considering where he's at. And I actually was a fan. I mean I still am, but I actually was happy with re-signing him. He couldn't get healthy, I guess, this year. And so I mean if you get him in Amen Thompson and then Svi, you bring back Svi, there's like guys like Cody Martin you don't really need. So but
also well he's probably gonna get an extension, but I believe Chris Middleton's a free agent, so that's something.
Oh yeah.
Did he already get an extension?
I don't think so. It would have been smart to because he just got injured, but he just came off injury. But I don't think so. But we'll see. We do need someone to fill that role. I mean, or I guess it's just a lot. This season is just going to be rough, and I've talked about it with other people, specifically with the draft. You got talent basically in every position. The Hornets have so many like tweener players. Well, I said actually this draft, the center position is kind of lacking, but like the wings specifically. But we have so many tweener players, so many wings. It's hard to pick anybody for them. Amin Thompson is really good because we like Terry Rozier, but he doesn't necessarily need to be here.
I want him off the team. I'm going to be honest.
I don't blame you. I mean, I wouldn't be mad either way, but I don't see the point of having him. I mean, he's not going to help you win. He doesn't change the meter at all. He doesn't move the needle at all.
I feel like he's more of a ceiling raiser. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd rather just have him, but it's going to be tough because you got to think about it. If Miles comes back, so in this particular scenario, it works because you have LaMelo, Amin, Miles, PJ, I'm assuming, and then Mark, and then Kelly, Gordon off the bench, and DSJ. I think that's not bad at all. I'm not mad at that whatsoever. Yeah. But it just does get tricky because you have Miles at the 3, which he can play the 3, but we know that he's gains more fit for a 4.
Yeah,
that's where it just gets rough because then you just paid PJ as well in this scenario. So where does he go? I mean, you don't want to keep putting him back at small ball 5 because everyone was ready to get him out of Charlotte when he was small ball 5. Not his fault. He's 6'7". But
yeah. My problem with
so
PJ
it's just like, where does
like,
he go?
Yeah, I feel like he's just so up and down. Like he gives you good defense, but his 3-pointers like kind of unreliable, and I just don't know how to feel about him. Like, no disrespect, he dropped 43 the other night. That was incredible, but
right.
I think it's safe to assume he'll be back. Drafting around him is weird, and it's not even around him. It's just having him on the team and making a selection, you know?
Yeah, you would hope for someone to almost – they're so confined to one spot because, like, it's like I mean, you could – if you want to think about it this way, it's similar to John Collins in Atlanta.
Yeah,
he
really
can't
play
have
center.
him as your center. And so it's just this weird 4, which – I mean, if we want to be honest, that position is almost obsolete now, depending on the team you're playing. But that's the only position guys like them can play. It's just very weird. And we saw, even when he dropped 43, PJ has a ways to go with handling the ball. And I mean, he's still getting better, so he can obviously get better at that. But there was a lot of times he would lose the ball because he's just not able to dribble like that, which once again, if you're stuck at the 4, it's just it's this day and age, we're going to need you to be able to maybe do some ISO at some point just to switch up the offense. So I get what you're saying.
I think it's a similar thing with Miles, honestly. Like, he's more suited to be a 4. He can play the 3 a little bit, but I would much rather have a 4 on the floor that can bring you some of that rim protection. And Miles can jump. He's just not tall. That's the thing.
Yeah, and he's a really good rebounder. PJ is you would think he would be a better rebounder than what he is.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best way I've heard it put is that it is really hard to draft around PJ just because of the fact that he's just in that weird. He could really only play one role. I mean, you're not mad if you put him at small ball 5. Obviously, it works for some teams, but I think with Embiid and Jokic, I think that more teams are going to want to. You're right. More teams are going to be wanting to invest. Like, I think we could see if bigs keep going in this trajectory. I know we only have 2, but they're both really good. If bigs keep going in this trajectory, I wouldn't be surprised if teams start signing guys like big centers just for scenarios like that, because that can slow the game down tremendously. So if you're out there running around with wings but can't stop the guy, can't stop Joel Embiid or Jokic, you're going to be in trouble. So,
that's been like my favorite thing about basketball this year is just bully ball is back. I love it.
It is. We need more of it. We need more. We need more centers like that. I personally like
Yeah.
that style of basketball. I mean, you really have a guy in both of them. We can just say, Jokic and Embiid. You have guys that could literally control the paint, control the flow of the game, have the ability to bully their way inside or fade and shoot. Sometimes shoot a three, can play make from the post. Jokic can play make from the 3-point line. It's just having bigs like that is going to be scary. And I think with Jokic and Embiid's success, more and more bigs are going to want to be like, I'm not doing this 3-point crap, like I'm not going to, if I can dominate the paint like that, I'm going to continue. Like we see a little bit with Sengun in Houston. I think he's really good in the paint. He needs to get stronger, but I think he has ridiculous post moves.
Yeah, he reminds me of like, I don't even have a comparison for him because all these other like bigs that play like him are like big and strong. Sengun's just like lanky, but he gets it done. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think it's because like he's quick. Like his when he makes a post move, is really fast. Like when he does a spin, he's already on the other side before.
Quick. Yeah,
dude, he has people like their ankles buckling. His spin is insane.
Yeah.
So I think that it is going to be hard to draft around PJ. And we're talking future tense when we're talking like, more and more big. So maybe it won't matter for PJ, but it is just difficult to draft around him when you're paying him and he could really only play one position that you already have another player who's really good at that position. So what I hope is that the Hornets don't get, I wouldn't say tricked because I am a fan of PJ and what he can do defensively.
Yeah.
But I just hope that the Hornets don't get tricked into signing him to so much money because they're afraid Miles won't come back. Now, if they know he won't come back, then we're having a different conversation here. But I don't want them to kind of lean forward to re-signing PJ and then Miles comes back and they knew that already. And so then it's like, why would you do that? Because if you asked us last year, okay, if you bring on Miles, you can't keep PJ and vice versa. Everyone would have said, keep Miles, get rid of PJ. So I just hope that they don't re-sign PJ assuming like, oh, Miles might not come back. I need you to know for sure before you re-sign PJ. Because I don't want PJ. I never want players to not get their money. So I definitely want PJ to get, what he deserves, but I don't want it to hinder us either. So definitely make sure Miles isn't coming back before you sign PJ.
Yeah, so are there any guys that you are like really interested in for us to draft at 4?
At 4, I really like Amin Thompson. That was one of mine.
We agree on that because I know a lot of Hornets fans are like, "Ew, he can't shoot" or whatever. So,
I mean, I'm cool with either Thompson twin. Personally, I like Asar just a little more, just because he still can't shoot to me, but it's gotten better as opposed to Amin. It really hasn't gotten better, but it really doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter. And then also I'm thinking like the Hornets. Do we really need someone else that can shoot? Not really. So
not really.
overall, right. So like the reason I would go Amin, even though I'm a bigger fan of Asar over Amin, for the Hornets specifically, I'd rather go Amin because we don't need another. And Asar is not a shot chucker, but we just don't need more of that right now, especially if they're not super efficient. Because we have a bunch of guys who do that already.
But the weird thing about him is like when you think of twins, you think of like Markieff and Marcus Morris. Their games are like pretty much identical. Amin and Asar are like 2 different positions. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. I think it is weird, but I think it's also with Markieff and Marcus, or whatever his name is. I always mess it up. Is it Marcus or Markieff? Yeah. I think the difference is they seem like they were more trying to be one person, and that's not even like trying to be funny. But you would watch interviews with them, and they were like, "We know we do everything."
They have identical tattoos, dog.
Like literally, and look, if you're a twin, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just they were literally trying to be one person. I feel like Amin and Asar, which obviously we haven't seen the interviews or years down the line like we've seen with the Morris twins, but with Amin and Asar, it just seems like they're like we're twins, but we do we have some similar styles to our game or similar things we like to do, personally, but we're still two different people, and each their own, however you want to do it. But yeah, it is interesting to see that you would think that, I'm assuming they've been playing basketball together forever, that they would kind of have more similar games.
Yeah. Asar just doesn't have that playmaking to me, and I think that's the reason I give him the edge over Amen. I give Amen the edge.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. It just depends on like I said, what you want in your team. If I can't say any other team, but just off the top of my head, I would think another team would go Asar, but specifically for the Hornets, I think Amen would be the better option. But since you've already picked Amen, I think I'll just I said, like I just said, it could have been Asar as well. But just to make it different, just because why not? I think another person would be Jarris Walker.
Oh dang! Wrong anyway.
Okay. I said Jarris Walker. Okay, I'll give you one more guess.
My guess is going to be Cam Whitmore.
So that is who I originally wanted. I really, really like Cam Whitmore. The reason I've changed it, and this has just been recently, this hasn't been something that has I've been thinking about, but the reason I want to change it is just because I just almost feel like Miles is coming back, so there's no need to double down. And then also I do feel like it's the same way we were talking about. There's like a log jam with Miles and PJ. It would be the same thing, even though I think Cam Whitmore is better as a 3. Well, I think he's a 4, but I think he can play the 3 better than Miles can. Obviously, I'm talking like when Miles was his age and whatnot, but I think he has a better ability to kind of slide into the 3 if you need him, even though I feel like he's more of a 4 than Miles. But it just really depends with PJ. And so when you brought that up, I was like, oh, that's a good point. So that's why I didn't choose Cam Whitmore. But the reason I chose Jarris Walker, because literally the same position, that's someone you draft if you know you're not getting PJ back.
Yeah.
Or PJ's not coming back. And,
also, I would say Jarris is already better than PJ. He just
I would say so
to the
too.
Table.
Right. I think. Well, do you think literally skill wise is he better? Because I would say right now I would pick PJ obviously, but that's because he's been in the NBA. But if I'm looking at what all of Jarris can do, he definitely can do more than PJ. So when he's PJ age, he's gonna,
oh yeah,
way past him.
To me, Jarris Walker is just like Jeremy Grant, but you combine what he's doing now on offense in Portland with his old defensive heavy style Jeremy Grant.
Oh, like when he was in Denver. Was it Denver when he was playing good defense? Yeah. I agree. That's a really good take. Because Jarris Walker, he's my new favorite player. I think he can do a lot. And like I said, I know people will be like, but he does this, he's in the same position as PJ. But he can dribble, he can defend, he can I think he's shorter than PJ, and he can rebound.
Isn't he?
I've seen him.
Let's see.
I think he's 6'6".
That's what I thought.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, he's 6'8". He's actually taller than PJ.
Really? Yeah, he is taller than PJ. So never mind then. Well, he still can rebound. He's still a really good rebounder. He could take the ball off. He could take the ball off the glass and take it up court. And then he can score. I just like a lot of the things he can do. And
he's my favorite type of power forward. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of like what we were just talking about with PJ and John Collins. Y'all stuck in this forward, but y'all really play almost like centers in a way, kind of. But, well, I guess PJ is a better shooter. He plays like Brook Lopez, but Brook Lopez doesn't play the 4. So,
yeah.
It's so that's where it's I'd rather have Jarris Walker, who literally can do it all. And I actually feel more comfortable with him being small ball 5 than PJ. 1, because we just found out he's taller. And 2, he just has a certain presence in the paint. PJ, I think, is a good perimeter defender, but once he gets inside the paint, it's wraps. Unless he has leverage, which usually isn't often. Now, he did a really good job against Giannis early in the season, but
I remember that.
he was irritating Giannis even before Giannis got into the paint, though. So I think that played a part into it. But for those guys who are just absolutely stronger than you and can get to the paint, or if they get past LaMelo or something because he goes for a steal, I think Jarris Walker has a better chance of kind of like staying his ground and kind of if
That's
you
a
ever
good
need a
point.
small ball five.
Yeah, because Jarris Walker's kind of ripped. PJ's just like, I'm gonna put my hands up,
Right. And I mean, and then it works out, like I said, it works out perfectly because you have the whole, you run into teams, some play small ball, some have the big centers, some whatever the case may be, you just want to be able to defend all cases. So I think with Jarris Walker, you really could do that.
He's really like that Swiss Army knife, just prototypical 4 that can do it all,
right?
And that every team wants. So can't go wrong with him.
All right. So with that being said, I know in our notes I have the what are we missing to make the playoffs, but we'll do off-season wish list first because we can go into it. So with that being said, what is your off-season wish list?
We got a long mailbag here.
No, I feel it. I'm probably going to have like 50 videos just going because there's a lot of things that need to change.
Yeah. I feel like this offseason is either going to go one of 2 ways. We could have an incredible glow up or nothing's going to change at all.
Yeah, and then what's crazy is that the team, like I can see Mitch Kupchak now. Well, last year we were in this situation and we lost or something. He's gonna say something like that, and it's gonna piss me off. It's gonna make me so mad because I can see it now. He's like, he can say, "Oh, well, I've seen the people say that we haven't done anything, but I think staying put was the right decision because last year we lost players or whatever." He's gonna say something stupid, and it's like, no, dude, do something.
All right, I'll start off with the number one most important thing that no matter what we do this offseason, this absolutely has to get done. We got to give LaMelo that Supermax or whatever contract he's eligible for.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think that's a must. I know this is basketball, but we don't want a Lamar Jackson situation.
Yeah.
We just get it done. There's no reason to not is basically it. Like there's no reason to not get it done. You lose LaMelo, you have no one on your team that is even remotely close of age of a decent age. So it just
LaMelo's the third youngest All-Star of all time. We absolutely got to keep him in Charlotte.
Even if you think he's injury prone, it's just what will be your other option?
So. Yeah, that makes me think about people who say availability is the best availability. Like, please shut up. No, it is not. You know who's always healthy? PJ Washington. But you're never taking PJ Washington over Kevin Durant, are you?
True. I would not take PJ Washington over Kevin Durant. I think I personally think people use that the wrong way because I'm a fan of that, but it's more so you're debating like a couple years ago, you were debating Giannis and Kawhi. I'm choosing, I like Kawhi's game more at the time, but he's never plays. So I would much rather go. So I think, but people, like you said, be using it like, well, PJ plays more than LaMelo, so I'm taking PJ. It's like, dude, they're not even the same player. It would be different if, once again, we use John Collins and PJ. If John Collins was hurt all the time, I think he usually plays. But if he was hurt all the time and PJ wasn't, I'm choosing PJ. It's just that simple. But I'm not using it for him and Kevin Durant, which people do all the time. Not them two specifically, but that kind of disparity between the two.
Yeah. All right. I think we both have the same number one. What's your number 2 thing on your wish list?
My number 2 on the wish list is install some type of culture of some kind.
That's
I don't care how you do it
as well.
Really? So yeah, I'll just give my little quick spiel since you got it too. So because we may approach it different ways, but it's just like something needs to be done. I feel like it's being built now. That's why it's kind of like part of me is like just to keep it going. Maybe we should keep Steve Clifford. even though I don't actually want him back, but it's just like I don't want to ruin it.
Them boys don't
But
like
then I
Steve
know.
Clifford.
What'd you say?
Them boys don't like Steve Clifford. Come on now.
I think, but like I said, I was about to say, I think they're just excited to play, and I think they're like playing spoiler. I think that's helping it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, some type of culture needs to be installed, dude, because you just got guys of just all different types of personalities, which is fine, but you have the most boring front office and coach to go with it. It doesn't match. And if you're going to, the thing is, if you're going to do like, I don't know, it's just, you need to get someone that's more free flowing to go with the players, that has a more free flowing personality, have that be the lot. Because I don't think you should get someone super strict and make them calm down. I think that's the wrong thing to do. That doesn't work anymore. You need to go with the players. I'm not saying submit to the players, but you need to like I know you say you don't watch much college basketball, but like you see college basketball coaches doing college football coaches too doing dumb stuff all the time to be, to go with their players. Their players are 18. So of course they're going to like it when their coach takes their shirt off and dance. Like, I'm not saying you have to do that, but what I'm saying is you got to get someone that is just as lively as these guys. Cause we see these guys, they like to talk, they like to joke around. And Steve Clifford, I mean, he makes a funny every now and then, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. A thing about that, like, you can't get one of these super strict guys. That just made me think of, like, John Beilein when he tried to come over to the NBA a few years back. He got fired after, 30 games being the Cavs coach.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he left Michigan. Like, and that's the problem with college. Like, they trying to run the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, and they try to do the same thing for 40 years, and it's like, dude, all right, at some point it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they need some type of culture. I don't think they need some goofy guy, but even if you take Taylor Jenkins from Memphis, he cracks his jokes, he makes his fun, but he also, when players need to be called out, he'll call them out. But he's more like, hey, if you produce on the court, I don't care what you do. The coach at OKC, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but same way, like when they lost to us, they were depressed, and then they barely beat the Pistons the next day, and they're just going crazy. Which I'm fine with that. You won, so he lets them do. As long as you produce, you can do whatever. And so I think that's what we need. Sometimes it doesn't have to be some guy who's just like a joke, but it just needs to be a guy who can take a joke or something.
Yeah, so I had a similar idea. I'm not saying go out there, get like some clown like Ryan Saunders to be the coach, but like, I feel like we just need more of a modern approach. I'd love to keep Cliff around as a assistant, but I think in general we need just more of a culture in the locker room, because you go back to like the last time we made the playoffs. I was in 5th grade, by the way.
Jeez.
Yeah, we had Kemba Walker, Marvin Williams, Cody Zeller, Jeremy Lin, Frank Kaminsky. Those are 5 guys that are like good in the locker room. They were all on that team. Sure. You look at this team now, the only guy I could really say that about, like, obviously I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know, but to me, Mason Plumlee was the only guy I could think of that's like a goofball in the locker room.
Yeah, for sure. Because you have the team is really just a cast of characters. And so you need some guys that can kind of like level it out, but that can also joke with them at the same time when it's time, or just some type of veteran approach. And I think that's what Gordon Hayward really was supposed to be. I just didn't like how expensive it was. What's crazy, they don't need someone that does exactly what this person I'm about to name do, but his track record is proven. They need someone like a Patrick Beverly. Like I said, I don't want the on-court stuff, but Patrick Beverly, every team he goes to, they listen to him. Now, I think the Lakers was a little different, but also he's sharing a locker room.
He is playing with LeBron,
Yeah, so it's different. But he went to the Bulls. The Bulls are playing way better. But he's also a guy. He makes his jokes, So they need someone that's like this guy who really can run the team, but but they don't need a Udonis Haslam either. So that's where the Hornets are just like, it's tough because we say that and they'll get a Udonis Haslam guy instead of, someone like Patrick Beverly or something.
Yeah.
But they really need
actually,
like a Pat Bev. That would be great.
Yeah, I actually lied. When I look at like Mark Williams' social media, he just seems like a pretty down to earth guy. And then you look at like,
oh yeah, he's a good one. Yeah.
LaMelo, Terry, and Miles, and they're all like just. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because you're making an NBA player's salary, but their entire like social media is just them flexing.
So. Exactly, in some weird clothes.
Yep.
It's just like, dude, LaMelo gets caught running red lights after every game. It's just like, dude.
Yeah.
Terry Rozier, that like, was that last offseason when they're like he was like in feet pictures or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, dude. And at the time that was right after the Miles stuff, and our team was like the Hornets community was just in shambles, and it's just like in the middle of the team being in shambles, of course somehow, like level 2 national media gets a hold of Terry Rozier like in feet pictures on Twitter. It's like, dude, we're going through it enough. Like, you at least did this on the burner? Like, we did not need this right now.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, even if we were winning or something, fine, like your feet pictures. But it was like that was the worst time to get caught, like in feet pictures.
Yeah. You know who this team needs to bring back? We need back Bismack Biyombo and Cody Zeller. Just to be in the locker room.
Oh my god! Yeah, I could really see it for Bismack. Cody, I don't know. I don't know. He seemed like a very quiet person. Like he seems like more of like a Gordon Hayward type person.
You never saw when he I don't know if he actually got it or not, but he like asked LaMelo to set him up with like get him a set of grills. That was the funniest thing.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it could work. I think they do need some guys like that in the locker room because your veterans now are Terry Rozier and Kelly Oubre. So it's just like that's not a good, that's not a good set of veterans. But
and I mean, you think about it, they kept Cody around for 7 years, and it probably wasn't on the court play.
Yeah, for sure. And then unfortunately he just had to start. So it was like I think what about this person? What about someone like now this is hard because I 100% assume that if this person signed here, he would expect to play and there's nowhere for him to play. But what do you think about like Devontae Graham? I think Devontae Graham would have been a good guy. He's not that much of a veteran. What'd you say?
I'd love him back on the team, man.
I think he would just be a good, mellow, local guy to have. Like I said, he's not. I'm not saying like he doesn't bring the best wisdom in the world, But I know he's not going to let anybody do anything stupid. And I think that he's just, I'm saying he's just a good guy to have on the team, like a guy that I feel like players feel like they could talk to or just hang with or whatever.
And I think it like really shows because like in a span of like a month, he went from last man on the bench to getting the most minutes out of anybody a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that like that grit and hard work, I think that's something that we could use. We also could use in the same way, but more so on the court, someone like a Jose Alvarado. Those pesky guys on defense. I think Dennis Smith
brings that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think he brings that. So that needs to be on the list. I need to move that up on my list of bringing him back because I definitely would like that. We need him back, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's homegrown, so.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he loves playing here, so.
Yeah.
I think the only reason he doesn't come back, it has to be money. Someone offered him more money. And if I'm the Hornets, I think you got to look at what he does off the court as well, because you saw he was one of the first guys, dapping people up that last game. So I think that you got to look at that and be like, yeah, we need to keep this guy. And then also he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the league.
Oh, yeah. To me, he's kind of like, I don't know if you watched any Javon Carter minutes this year, but he's been like the Bucks, like diamond in the rough. And to me, that's
Yeah,
Dennis
I
Smith
agree.
Jr. on this team.
I think so. I think, yeah, that's a good one. Even though Javon Carter can shoot, but
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know. Like, is he a good shooter? I know
He's been good
because
this
every
year.
time I check, yeah, he goes through like spurts where he's like good and then he's okay and then he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, he always plays well, like overall his game, but like his shooting numbers is always kind of just iffy.
They're up and down, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm shooting 42% from three this year, so really good. Okay, so what is your number 3? And I feel like I know I can assume what's coming up. I don't know how many you have on your list altogether, though. So I don't know if
I
it'll be
kind of
3.
just listed out like every player and then like what I would want to happen with them.
Right.
We don't have to go over all of them, obviously, but just to get an idea, you know. I would just like for us to try to make some trades. I don't want Terry Rozier really on the team. I don't really think he has a purpose. I'm going to be honest. I think he should go to a team like that's contending and just needs like that 6-man scorer off the bench. Because here, all he's doing is shooting 40% from the field, you know, because he has to shoot like all of the shots.
And every shot is a moving shot for whatever reason. I'm like, dude, why are you moving so much?
Yeah. Dude, my own basketball coach gets on me so much about that. Like,
Really?
he always just yells at us about, not yells at us, but, you know, just like gets on us about set your feet. So to see that at an NBA level is, yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, and the thing is, he can make them, but like every shot doesn't need to be a fading 3.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's someone I would have to go as well. He needs to go.
I would like him off the team and as well. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but I gotta say it. I want us to trade PJ.
That would be tough. That would be tough. I mean, if we get Jarris Walker, they draft Jarris Walker, then you know PJ's gone.
Yeah.
To your point, I like that you did say trade because there's no way we could let him walk. Yeah, he has. He's good. Like there's been 2 trade deadlines in a row where we've heard a lot of rumors about PJ. And last year he almost was. He almost was out of here for Jakob Poeltl, but
man, that would have been such a good trade. I think they wanted a first or something.
What'd you say?
That would have been great looking back on it.
Oh yeah, for sure. We would have made the playoffs probably. I mean, we would have got swept maybe, but we'd at least made it. Because that Hawks team wasn't that good. They were really just hot that game specifically, and then we gave up really early, so that hurt as well.
Is it crazy to see that that Hawks team's better than the Hawks this year?
No, I don't think. Well, this with Quinn Snyder, I think they've been significantly better than they have been all year. I wouldn't say last year. I think last year's Hawk team was just a better. I think they just. I don't
better
know.
fit. I would say.
Yeah, they fit better. A trade doesn't seem like he can play well with another guard.
Yeah, I hate to see it because Trae Young's like my favorite NBA player, but
really,
yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he can play with another guard, and it's not because like he's trash or DeJounte Murray's trash. I think that
he just can't really move off the ball.
Right, that was a concern that everyone had. It was that hey, you have 2 playmakers, and then one kind of needs to move off the ball, but doesn't, and then DeJounte Murray to me doesn't have the game to be really an off ball
player.
I mean, maybe as a cutter, for sure, but not like you have run around screens and then shoot like that. That's just not it. And then they need the spacing because you got John Collins and Capella. So it was a weird trade altogether.
Yeah. So I think if we could maybe trade PJ, Terry Rozier together, get like I don't even know if anyone would give us a first round pick for it because this draft is just like crazy, and also the market's just weird. I think any other year we could get a first round pick for both of them, but I think now teams are just kind of hesitant. They don't want to give up that first round pick unless they know they're getting like a really good player. So
you're right. I mean, we could see some movement. I mean, it's just really going to depend for sure. I mean, we have the Nuggets pick, so you could pair that up with somebody and maybe move
but
up
the thing
in the draft.
with that is like I wouldn't want us to have to attach that to get rid of Terry's contract.
True, I could see that.
Because like there are some guys that like 25 to 30 that look pretty nice. So,
oh no, for sure. Like that to me is my favorite part of the draft is thinking about who the Hornets could get at that stage. Which that's something that's a topic for another day. Cause we'll be here for another 2 hours if we did that. Which I mean, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't care, but I'm pretty sure no one would want to listen to that. Or I don't want it to take 3 days for someone to get through one thing. But yeah, I agree.
We can talk about it.
28.
Though. I have like a short list
28 there's a lot of guys.
Of players.
Okay, so okay, then let's do this. If in your scenario we get rid of Terry and PJ, let's say at 4 we get
Amen Thompson.
We both agree that would probably be the best option at 4. What are your names for 28 then?
Well, now that I'm thinking about this scenario, it's kind of like adding another dimension to it. But I like the idea. He would fit in with the criminal culture, but I like the idea of Imani Bates' game on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Also like Terrence Shannon and
that's a good one.
Baby T,
which he's
obviously
fallen, and I don't understand why Terrence Shannon has fallen so much.
I think it's just people are realizing that he's a senior, I think.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people thought he was like a freshman or something.
Yeah. But didn't he take Texas Tech to a national championship game with Jarrett Culver?
Was he there for that? I can't remember. Damn, yeah, I
could have been there.
I think so.
That's crazy.
Because
was so long ago.
It was, but with COVID and stuff, like all these players are in there so much longer. Which for the Hornets, drafting an older player is not a problem because we have so many young raw guys. I wouldn't mind getting older guys. Was he on that team? Let's see. No, he wasn't.
So that was the year before he got there.
Yeah, so he was. Yeah, that was the year before he got there. Cause I was about to say that was going to be crazy with Jarrett Culver. Zaire Smith wasn't here either. Really? I thought that was the year they had Zaire Smith. I think it was just Jarrett Culver out there running around.
No, Zaire Smith was like already 2 years into the league by then.
Oh, geez, that was the team I was thinking of. Yeah, it was just Jarrett Culver. He was really the main guy. I mean, they had.
Man, he flamed out so fast. I really thought he was like the next Draymond Green.
He could have been. He could have been. I mean, he had the tools. He just
didn't put it together. Yeah.
28. So this is where like Turk could be here, which I always say that
Dennis Smith Jr. be rooting for that.
Yeah. But I always say the Hornets don't do well with those kind of guys. Those guys who are just like electric scorers. They don't do like you had Malik Monk, you had James Bouknight. And I mean, obviously those two are two different situations, but it's just like one of those things where, all right, it's happened 2 times. That's 2 times too many. You get 2 guys who can be electric scorers and they just don't quite do what you want them to do. That's why, like, when people were talking about Keontae George really high, they don't do it anymore. But when at the time they were, the Hornets should get. I'm like, no, we don't need another. I mean, even with Terry Rozier to an extent, it hasn't worked too well. So I just don't want to double down on that, even though it's not the player, it's just more so the team.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I do not like. I'd love to see Terquavion like in a Hornets jersey just so I could buy the jersey, but on the team, there's a much better scenario for him because he just doesn't bring like that rim pressure that we need. He's kind of just like LaMelo on offense if he didn't have the passing.
Yeah,
he's a better finisher than LaMelo
crafty.
though. Yeah,
and I think that some of that is like
he's just skinny, man.
He might be stronger. Is that what it is?
He's like, it's so weird. He's like 170, but he looks super strong because he's like,
and he attacks like he's like 220. So that's why it's just like you every time he attacks, you think he's gonna dunk it.
Yeah, but also he just like gets bodied by stronger defenders, which is a problem.
He does. Yeah, he does. I think it could be. I mean, we personally could be looking at the Hornets trading up because you got 28.
Yeah, we
could have 34, 39, 42. So we could see them trade up to like back in the top 20, and then you have a different conversation there. Do you get I don't know who you get, but I think that with that being said about these players in the draft, what do you think the Hornets are missing? And let's just say the only thing we'll add to this roster is Amin Thompson because we can almost guarantee we'll get a quality rookie of some kind. Even if we fall to 8 for whatever reason, we can still guarantee a quality rookie. So let's just say in this case it's Amin Thompson. With that being said, what are the Hornets missing from making the playoffs? And you got to keep in mind, in this scenario, we'll have Terry, I'm assuming PJ, and we'll leave Miles off for now just because.
Okay.
Because of the fact that we don't know. Because I'm pretty sure he's going to come back, but they literally have not said anything about it in months, it feels like. So
it's going under the radar. Like, it's so hard to judge whether or not he's going to at this point.
Right, and I honestly feel like the team wants him back. I think the NBA is kind of like, we don't know.
Yeah.
So,
but my three things were. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. My three things were.
Oh no, you good. I was just going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we already talked about identity. And just we need to get a culture. Oh, and that reminds me, we did bring back Marvin Williams, one of the longest tenured Hornets, to be in the front office this offseason. I love that.
I did too. I really like that too.
But yeah, we need an identity. So that's like my extra thing. But number one, we need to get healthy. Yeah, you can't win basketball games when you got 7 players.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're always injured. Like, even in the year after COVID, I felt like we were the sickest team in the NBA. I was like, why is everyone sick all the time? Like, everyone was always like, they have COVID or COVID-like symptoms. And I know, like, you could chalk some of that up to being, just being precautionary. But still, it was like, dude, every other game, someone was out because of COVID or sick or whatever. So yeah, we definitely need a better. I don't know. I wouldn't even blame the staff. We just need people to be healthy.
Yeah, definitely. Just got to get healthy. That's. I guess that's like a low-hanging fruit thing on my list. Mm-hmm. So I got that one out of the way first. But number 2, we just need more like firepower. We can't just have LaMelo be the only like star level guy running the show, which is why I love that we have a top 5 pick. We should.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think we have a guy that can really just take over. And it sounds crazy, but
no, I agree with you.
It's just not in the way you would want them to. Like Kelly Oubre, he has games where it's like, dude, this dude can't miss. But they're
He's
far
so
few in
wishy-washy,
between.
man.
Right. And then also it's just if he's not scoring, that's it. And I mean, every team has guys like that. There's nothing wrong with having a guy like that. It's just we have so many guys like that. Yeah, I was about to say we have so many guys like that are starting is like because even Gordon Hayward can't get on the floor.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But when he does a lot of stuff. Like I've seen him go like 0 for 7, but have 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals.
I was about to say that he's a good playmaker.
So it's just like we need guys that can just do more than just chuck the ball up, and we can't have Kelly Oubre and Terry, to be honest. And I would just rather have Kelly, and that's just because he's cheaper. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, that was my next thing on the list. Is we can circle back to we need more stars, but we need more just quality role players. Like I feel like on this team, the only like solidified like solid role players we got are like Terry, Kelly, and Gordon Hayward, and I feel like the rest are kind of like developing young guys, and that's nothing they can really do about it. But we just need some more experience and people that know how to play their role, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Because if let's just face it, our starting lineup next year at some point in the season, because we know how the Hornets do, they're not going to have a rookie just start. But at some point, it needs to be a young starting lineup. So, like, I'm hoping, LaMelo, Amin, we'll throw in Gordon, we'll go throw in Gordon Hayward, and then PJ, and then Mark. So you have like 3 guys with LaMelo, Mark, and Amin that are young, but we need our bench to, like you said, kind of be the opposite of that. It don't need to be the oldest people in basketball, but it needs to be some guys who I'm just here to play my role, like Josh Richardson on the Pelicans. That would be a good one. His type of player, which there's a few out there that I like him, but he's not going to New Orleans being like, I'm a start. He's not going to New Orleans being like, I'm the 6th man. He's like, I'm going to just come in, I'm going to defend, and I'm going to play my role. And he does that. And then, I think he does it well. I think they're just missing Zion, but that's a different conversation. So we need more
pretty
guys
much my
like
entire wish list of like free agent signings are all just players like that. Like Bruce Brown, Cam Johnson, Harrison Barnes, Josh Hart, even though he's probably going to get a pretty big extension.
Yeah, Josh Hart was someone I was thinking of too. He didn't go to New York trying to be this guy that he wasn't. I mean, he's shooting now, but besides that, he wasn't trying to be someone he wasn't. He continued just playing. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't shoot in Portland. And he
stopped shooting. Like, that was weird.
He's like Reggie Miller all of a sudden or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that for sure that we really need some quality. It doesn't have to be. That's why even with the Nick Richards extension, I'm cool with it because it's like you have a guy that can be a backup center. Go ahead and lock him up for cheap. But I much rather would have had like an older veteran center to be our backup.
I agree.
That was kind of my only gripe. And that's the thing though. Like if you're going to have a young starting lineup, pair that with we'll just say mature. Pair that with a mature bench. Like your bench doesn't need to be a bunch of 20-year-olds when your starters are a bunch of 20-year-olds, or
that's how you end up with the Houston Rockets.
Exactly, and their whole team is like 20.
Yep.
So it's just like you need guys that can counteract that. So it doesn't make sense because on top of that, you don't play the young guys anyway. So what are they there for?
Be in the G League, even though the Greensboro Swarm can't win 10 games.
That's ridiculous, by the way. But it just doesn't make sense because you have, some quality young talent, but you don't play them. So if that's the case, then just get some quality veterans. You're playing a bunch of veterans who have plateaued. Because I think people could say, well, we have veterans. It's like, yes, we have veterans, but Terry Rozier is not getting any better. This is it. This is who he is. It could seem like he's better on a different team, but he's not improving anything. Kelly Oubre, I think he can improve as just literally a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. Like that's in his cards, but it's just like it's not significant enough to where I'm playing him all these minutes over young guys. So I think, like you said, I agree with everything you said.
Speaking of the young guys, we just signed Kobe Simmons to a 2-way deal, so I'm hoping he'll get some more NBA run.
I like him. I've only seen him really play in the G League, but I like what he can do.
I've been watching him more in the G League, but I remember a few years ago he was like the lowest rated player in 2K.
Oh, he was.
Which is disrespectful because he's always been that guy in the G League. Like, isn't he the Swarm's all-time leading scorer or something?
I think so. It's something like that. He's like he's either the 1 or 2.
And he's got that profile to be like our LaMelo clone, if you want to say that, because like 6'5", he can shoot.
Yeah. What's crazy is like now we came into the season with a point guard problem, but now it's like we have too many to choose from.
Yep.
I mean, and then the thing is, I think personally, I would just go if we're going starting point guard, backup point guard. I'm going LaMelo, Dennis Smith Jr. But I mean, I'm not mad if they keep Teo Maledon or whatever they may do. I don't know. But
Teo just hasn't been good this season. I'm gonna be honest.
Really? I think he's been okay. I think he's been good enough.
Like, it's weird because when I watch him, he's okay. But then I look at his stats and I'm like, you're supposed to be the shooter and you're shooting 30% from 3.
Yeah, that is the problem. I like his basketball IQ, but I do agree with his counting stats aren't where you kind of want them to be.
Yeah.
But, well, I think that's it. I think we've talked about everything we wanted to talk about. This was an hour and 27 minutes, so hopefully people will listen to it. But even if they don't, I'm going to upload it anyway.
The whole thing.
So thank y'all for listening. Thank you to Tyler for coming. Tyler, tell everybody where they can find you. If you want them to find you, you could just be like, hey, I don't want anybody to bother me. And that's fine too.
Yeah, so it's at TylerLikesHoops on Twitter. And same thing for YouTube, but I don't have anything up there yet. I'm planning on trying to get it going, but we'll see. Thank you for having me, Darian.
Anytime, man. We're probably going to do this way more often, even if it's just me and you not recording. We're just going to talk hoops. But, I definitely plan to have you back on. I think I actually plan to get it more organized because this was kind of like I'm still kind of like doing the podcast and then I do the Believe podcast and all that other stuff. So I want to be more organized. But yeah, I definitely would like to do this more often. It's good to have someone kind of bounce ideas off of. So definitely we'll be looking your way. So y'all should expect to see more of Tyler, especially when the draft comes and things like that. And I'm trying to get this on a schedule because I know I say I'm gonna upload it and I don't, or I say I'm gonna upload a certain amount of times and I don't. But this, I actually want to get this on the schedule. So Tyler, be ready.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We're gonna get this on some type of schedule. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.